Good morning, good afternoon, everyone around the world. My name is Rick Cottle. I'm a principal class solution architect, primarily focusing on AI. Today, I'm going to dive into a semantic kernel agent framework, IT operations multi-agent platform that I've built. This thing is much more than just an IT operations platform. So first, let's take a look at a few screenshots. Then I'm going to get right into the user experience and the UI itself. So we can see here that I have basically a traditional message style chat interface. And along the bottom here, you can see how I have a set of common actions. These are just quick IT operation actions that you can perform. This can be dynamically updated or added at any point. So this is our chat window, and we can see here how we have a response from our IT specialist agent. And down here, again, this is the pre-canned actions that we have available to ourselves. So earlier I mentioned that this is more than an IT operations platform. Just so happens that that's one of the use cases I wanted to focus on. So I've added a weather agent here just to demonstrate how easy it is to add and augment this multi-agent system. You can see here how I have asked what the weather is in zip code 28012. The assistant handed the request off to the weather agent and returned me a response here. So next, what I want to show you here is on the left-hand side, you see how we have our traditional chat history session data. Along the bottom here, we have an option to get to the administration page. If you're an administrator, you will have access to this. This is locked down via RBAC, so if you don't have proper permissions, you will not be able to access this page, nor will this particular UI element be displayed. On the right-hand side here, as you execute runbooks or other tasks, these operations will be cached here on the right-hand side for easy retrieval later, which I'll show you this again as we move into the actual UI itself. So now here we can take a look at the administration page, and we can see here how we're able to manage our capabilities, our indexes, our users, and our session data. Next, we're taking a look at the Swagger UI for the API. This is not all the various different resources that are available to us, but I just wanted you to see how comprehensive this particular API is. The reason why I want to call this out is that, you know, as long as you're using a microservices REST-based approach to implement your GenAI-based solutions, you can easily consume this API and the various different operations that are associated with it. So we're going to take a look at the architecture here. And we can see here how we have a multi-agent system. We are using the semantic kernel ChatCompletion agents. And this just represents how you might deploy this in Azure with an API gateway, and you may consume this API via any client that's capable of making a REST API call. It is locked down with Azure RBAC here, and it is based on a set of different roles which are completely configurable via the admin page, which I'll get into here. We can see that the request comes in through the chat provider. It's then delegated to the assistant agent, and then the assistant agent will delegate this to additional agents here. And as you can see here, I extended the system by adding a weather agent, but I just want to show you how easy it is to add additional agents here to create a multi-agent solution. So we're going to dive right into a demo now, and let's get started with that. All right, let's take a look at the UI and the user experience here. We can see how I have, the traditional chat style interface here. And I've explained earlier, this is a multi-agent system. So we can see here along the bottom, I have common actions that I can select here, and I can input using natural language to interact with the multi-agent system here. On the left-hand side, I have a slide bar, which maintains chat history, and if I'm an administrator, I have access to the administration page. On the right-hand side, I have runbook executions for the given session. So if I start any runbook, it's going to maintain that in the history over here on the right-hand side. You'll see that shortly when this executes. So right now what's happening is The assistant is processing the request. It's deciding what agent it needs to hand the request off to. And then I have a breakpoint hit. That's why it's pausing. So let me hit continue on my other screen here. And that will get processed. So now what we'll see here is that the assistant forwarded that request to the IT specialist, and this is leveraging Azure automation accounts. So when it does that, we get the benefit of being able to maintain long-running jobs by using Azure automation accounts, and we can follow up and check status on those jobs using the GenAI-based solution here. But before I do that, I want you to see how it prompts me here. Do I want to check the job status? Because right now it's in activation state. So if I go over here to Azure Portal and I click on my jobs, we can see that it's activating. And if I quickly click into the job, you know what? I want to refresh this real quick. Now we see it's running. I'm going to go back and we see that the ID for this is 966E. So if I go back into my user interface, I will see that that matches the job ID I have here. And now if I just simply reply back and say yes, it has contextual awareness, so the agent will know that it needs to check the job status for this job ID. And so what it's doing now is it's running out to Azure Automation, and it's pulling to check the job status. And we can see here how the assistant forwarded the request for this job ID to the specialist, and he's returned the status and the job is complete. And now we have the results here. So this is an example of how to execute and maintain things via Azure Runbooks. Now what I want to show you is how do we integrate with GitHub Actions. So this particular capability right here will simply run out and enumerate workflows for a pre-configured GitHub repo. This can be configured to allow the AI system to prompt you for a list of repos, or it can be set up in a way to where the user could dynamically provide the name of the repo, and as long as they have access to that repo, they'll be able to enumerate the workflows that are available. And we can see here how it's processed that request already. And if I scroll here on the right hand side, we can see that it has, in fact, I need to fix that little bug there. It's keeping track of the list item runbook and that execution. So if I click on this now, it'll give me an update of that particular runbook. But if I navigate over here on the left-hand side, I just want to quickly show you like how I can navigate between sessions, and I can see all that chat history. But let's go over here to the administration page, because this is a very, very powerful feature. So we can admin the entire system right here from the UI. We can see that these are the capabilities that are registered. I can edit these capabilities right here via the Edit tab. And if I update this item or save or change, the capabilities are cached out in Cosmos DB. That's my data store. And so what happens here is when the index is built or new items are added, it pulls those details from Cosmos DB, and it'll add that vector detail to my AI search service. Now, technically, I could do all this in Cosmos, but I wanted to show how the system could be, broader, sweeping. You could use Cosmos in conjunction with AI search. So I'll quickly hit refresh here, and you can see how it's enumerated all the indexes that I have available. If I want to search for documents on any given index, I can come over here and do a search. I can specify different properties of the search, whether or not I want to do a text search, a semantic search, or a hybrid search, so on and so forth. So that way you can test your index basically. And if I want to just quickly enumerate what documents are out there, I can come over here and just simply click on refresh, and I can see all the documents that are available via that particular index. If I click on add documents, now I can add a new document. And very, very powerful feature here. You can also generate new embeddings. For example, if you created a new index and you just want to build a new index, I'll do that for you now. Let's take a look at that. We'll just call this test 3. And we'll call this a V2 index. And I'll click add. And so we can see here that the index was added. I did get an error here. I have to look at that later. I've been making a lot of code changes, so I might have broken something with this particular feature. No worries, I'll come back to that. So let's go ahead and move on down here to users. If I click on refresh, we can see how it enumerates the users in the system. If I click on view edit, I have the details. Now I can edit the user if I like, or I can delete the user. And probably most importantly is maintaining your session data. So this particular feature is, all this is hosted, by the way, in an API. So your front end could be anything. What matters really is the back end. The UI is important from a user experience perspective, but the point here is that if you design a solution using, a microservices REST API based perspective, you can consume these services from anywhere that can make a REST call. So we can see we have all these different sessions for these different users. If I click on view, I'm able to see this particular session data. If I click on messages, now it enumerates all the messages for that particular session. And I can just get a glimpse into what's going on with our session data that's being stored out in Cosmos DB. And, to keep things simple, as a user when the user logs in, now you have your chat history persisted based on that particular session. So what's great about this is that because this is all being done from an API perspective, literally your front end could be anything. You could be consuming these APIs from a low-code solution like Copilot Studio, Power Automate. You could even call this from PowerShell, right? So you're only limited by your imagination here. And so the power of the system is not only in the chat API, it's in the ability to interact and maintain all your artifacts that are part of this robust multi-agent GenAI solution. One other feature I want to show you quickly is I have a system-wide feature, and I've added an additional security measure here called the security wipe key. The idea here is that if you're, tinkering or playing around or experimenting and testing, you might want to clean out your session data as you continue to explore and play around and test new capabilities. So this feature here, not only is it secured by RBAC, if you don't have the proper RBAC permissions, you won't be able to get to this admin page anyway, but we do want an extra safety measure in place for administrators just to make sure that they don't accidentally wipe out your entire session data. So that's it for the admin interface. Let me go back and we'll just take another quick UI, make sure I didn't miss anything. So again, while we have these capabilities here, the other thing I want to show you is that this is much more than just a IT operations platform. I've added a weather agent here. So let me show you how that works. And I did misspell it. You know what? I'm going to misspell it on purpose. And I'm going to show you how the GenAI solution is, able to figure out. Notice how it corrected my spelling here, right? Now it's saying, can you give me the zip code? So I'll just go ahead and reply back with the zip code, 28012. And the reason why I want to show you this is that it's really easy to add additional agents or even change this entire solution so it can be a multi-agent solution for, let's say you wanted to create a stock analyst multi-agent system. You could easily replace the plugins and just have, a bunch of plugins that are stock centric. And, this is super easy to add. If I showed you the code for this, I think it's less than 20 lines of code actually to add this additional agent here. So with that wraps it up for the demo. I hope you enjoyed that and looking forward to any questions. All right, so next I want to just close out with some resources here. So if you want to take a look at many of the repos, including this one that I have available out on GitHub, just navigate to github.com, rickcau. And if you want to make an endeavor to learn Semantic Kernel, I have several different repos out there that can help get you up to speed on that as well. Take a look at those. I think I have many repos out here that you'd benefit from. from a knowledge sharing perspective. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for your time.